Hello everybody, it's Lisa here at Semiahmoo Resort. We are going to be doing our live cooking demo with Chef Devin. Thank you for joining us when you do join us. This is so much fun doing all of these videos, so thank you for watching. Sorry, as I adjust my camera here. Thank you for watching and just having fun with us. We certainly, again, like I said last time, we're in this industry because we love being with people, and so to not be with people is just really horrible. I'm just hating it. And doing these live videos is a lot of fun too, because we're learning as we go. Thanks for my comment about my hair. Devin forgot the salmon, so he's just run off. He'll be right back. So he's like, start without me. So here I am starting without him. So you know how fly by the seat of your pants. That is basically what we're all doing, I think, right now in this time, right? Nobody knows. We're just talking about planning for the future, and we're like, it's just so hard to plan for reopening and everything when everything changes so fast. So I can hear him coming back. So today he's going to be doing a cooking demo of smoked salmon quiche. And here he is. There he is. Hello.
Welcome, everyone. Just forgot my salmon, so I had to run down to the other walk-in and grab it. Yeah, we're going to make a smoked salmon quiche. So this is something that I've had on many menus for a long time. It's a unique style of quiche. It's much deeper and bigger than you're used to. And so it's going to be made in a springform pan. So it's going to be nice and deep and a very tall, kind of fun. You'll be able to see the inside really well. So let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make a pâte brisée dough. So that's a dough similar to pie crust, but it's 100% butter. So we'll start with that.
All right.
So we'll start with 2.5 cups of flour.
Sorry, just one sec. I'm turning the camera so that they don't just see me. All right, there you go.
So 2.5 cups of flour in our food processor. Then we've got 1 cup of butter. These recipes will be available at the end of this online. So, all right, so we got 2 cups of butter. Now, ice cold butter. And then when I used to make this on a regular basis, we would keep not only the cutting utensils, the bowl, but the flour and the butter as well in the freezer so that they were nice and cold, because, and a little pinch of salt. One of the biggest reasons for that is we're trying to keep the dough as cold as possible and not overwork it. So if you overwork it, then you'll start to develop glutens, it'll be chewy, and it'll actually pull back on itself too, and it won't be that light, flaky, and crumbly that you want in the microwave. So what we do is we pulse it for a while until we get a almost like a small pea or cornmeal type of consistency. Now this is ice water, depending on the moisture in the flour, the moisture in the air, anywhere from a quarter cup to a half a cup, so of ice water. So again, ice cold ice water, and we're gonna pulse it. We don't want to make it run too long. If you run it without stopping, the blade will heat up. So. So if we look in here, what we're kind of dealing with is a small corn mealy kind of starting to combine. And what we're looking for is just to get that butter into smaller pieces. I'm gonna go a little bit more. And then I'm gonna start to add the ice water. Now what we're looking for is a mass that just kind of combines and stays together. And so we don't want it to be soft and gluey. We want it to kind of be crumbly. And when I take it out of the food processor, it's still gonna be crumbly, and we're gonna push it together a little bit. So you'll see here. This, after we've got the cornmeal consistency, I'm actually gonna run the blade straight for a little while. And that's the reason you use ice water too, so that you don't have that heating. And what I do is I go and just until it starts to pull away from the sides. And if you see, it's no longer sticking and no longer up the top. Go with a little bit more. Now we can start to see it crumble, solidify on the top and the sides a little bit. One of the other ways you can tell is give it a quick pinch, and if it stays together, then we're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this out and we're going to roll it down. So again, this is similar to like making scones or other short doughs that you don't want to work this too long. So what I'm doing is I'm just combining, I'm trying to press everything together. And then once I've got it together, I'm going to start to make a kind of a smaller disc. The best is to let this sit for 1 hour after we get it combined. That will also allow for the glutens not to be too strong and pull back on you, which will make the quiche crust pull down and pull off from the sides. So you don't want that.
What kind of flour are you using?
So this is all-purpose Carn Springs flour, which is local flour milled down at Carn Springs in the Skagit Valley and made with 100% Skagit Valley grains. So at this point, this is what I would wrap with plastic and allow to sit. But we are going to roll it out and keep it going, and I'll show you the process. A little bit of flour down.
So is this something that you don't want to actually handle too much, because if you handle it, it's going to get warm?
Yeah, it'll get warm, it'll start to combine, and then it will also develop the glutens, and the glutens will make it pull back, and you'll have that shrinkage in the pan. So what I do is I get a nice thin, the reason I use a French pin too, especially for a project like this with the thickness in the center, is because I'm trying to work out and have a perfect round ring in the middle. That's what I'm looking for, is this kind of, this ring right here. I'm looking to develop a nice evenness. This outside I'm not as concerned with because I'll be able to press it in with my hands. And since we are pushing this a little bit, at this point, I'm going to let it rest, and we're going to start to get some of our ingredients for the filling together. So leave that there. All right. So over here, we're going to start our saute pan with a small amount of oil. And then we're going to do a little bell pepper, onion, and smoked salmon. Okay.
I always love watching chefs prepare vegetables. I learn how to chop faster without getting all those seeds all over my cutting board. I love it.
One of the tricks with this too is that, you know, in the culinary world, we have to be just as quick as proficient. And so the speed and proficiency come equal. So if you have a technique that makes you faster, you're always looking for that and looking for some way. Spending too long trying to get the tops or the insides work with, when this can easily be used as veg stock, or even trim those and we put them in another sauce or something. So these I'm just going to do a nice quick julienne. It'll also help that once we're cutting the quiche, we'll be able to see nice ribbons of this throughout the quiche.
So could you use other vegetables if you didn't have peppers? What other vegetables would you put in there?
Yeah, definitely. So I would use, this is actually just what we had around, and so this is kind of what I'm using because I know that we have the product available, but spring is coming, so asparagus is always a great accompaniment with salmon. We're going to put in a little bit of thyme, but parsley is always great in there as well. Really, it's up to you what vegetables you like. Leeks, broccoli, you know, no harm in throwing bacon. Zucchini is always good. Be careful with zucchini and squashes because of the water content.
Yeah.
And so even these bell peppers I'm cooking first, this will help that water content get a little bit lower and not water it down. One of the other processes that I'm doing that will allow us to work with moist vegetables as well as the salmon is that we're using heavy cream in the custard instead of milk. You're more than welcome to use milk or something lighter, but it'll create a lighter texture, and if you have anything that has too much moisture content or too much oil, then you'll get a separation. But the cream is very stable. You add it with eggs, and then it will absorb and handle any kind of extra liquid, extra moisture from either vegetables, cheese, or anything else that you might put in there. So, all right, we got our onions and peppers working. So now we're going to take our dough and we're going to move it into our springform pan. So now to prepare the springform pan, I just rub it with a little bit of butter and some flour. This will just help a quick release at the end. Around.
You make that look so easy.
Well, you do something a couple hundred times, you get pretty good at it. I've had several restaurants where we had this on the menu on a regular basis. So here we go. And now we just fold right in. Let it fall. And then this is where I just start pressing the sides and we really create the edges. Now, when you see the height of this quiche, one of the distinctive characters is the height and the sides of the walls. And so what you really want is actually a little bit thicker on the walls than you do on the bottom. The walls will take a little while to cook, but we're gonna actually par bake it ahead of time. So. Now you're more than welcome to do fancy fluted edges, things like that. I usually keep it pretty rustic and pretty simple.
I like the rustic look. It looks homey.
All right, so here we go. We'll jump back over to our onions and peppers. We look like we're doing pretty good here. All right.
So did you add any oil to that?
Just a small amount of extra virgin olive oil. You can use butter, you can use anything. I just had a little oil here, so. There we go. So now from here, I will take one of these foil sheets. This is a pretty key with making this type of brisée dough, and also this thick of dough with this much height. So because it's so high and because it's so deep, this is going to take about an hour in the oven. So for that, I can't do a raw dough.
So that's oil side down.
Yep, into the pan so that we can get the this foil out at the end. Now what we have to do is I was trying to make sure to get in these corners. This corner down in here, this is where you'll lose and the shrinkage will happen. So you want to make sure you're pressing into those corners almost more than anywhere else.
Okay.
So for years, I used to use beans because they're one of the cheapest things you can use to fill this up. You can use baking marbles. They have specifically ceramic beans that are made for that. I personally hate the smell of dry roasted beans, and it used to make me sick. So I spent a little while trying to figure out, just having it in the kitchen, I would open it up and be like, oh, we have black beans. And you're like, oh, we have an oven baked black beans. And so you don't want those. So what I've been using actually recently is salt, rock salt. And it actually helps dry it out and cook a little quicker, and it does retain the heat very well. So this is just regular rock salt that we use on the bottom of our oyster platters. But you can use marbles, beans. Like I said, I used to use white beans or black beans, or if you have those little ceramic baking. So here we go. The more you put in, the heavier it is, the higher it is, the more the less shrinkage you're going to get from these sides here. So this is what it looks like here.
Way up over the top.
Yeah, and so I go just like right up there. We're going to lose, it's going to drop a little bit. Especially this one would too, because we didn't let the dough sit long enough. So
it is a great tip, isn't it? I'm learning stuff here.
So we go into the oven and time lapse. Here we go. We got our baked shell. So over here we have our onions and peppers. I'm going to turn this off for now. We got a little trick coming up with this as well.
Ooh.
So I'll go over that here in 1 minute. All right, so we're going to leave that to set. It's another reason I'm leaving it on the stove, but leaving it on the heat a little bit and not completely cooling it down. We'll come back to that. So from here, what we do is we remove the rock salt. And then from here, we have a nicely baked crust. Now, if you want, you can poke it with a fork to kind of alleviate some of that shrinkage as well. I typically don't, because if you do too aggressive with that fork, you're going to make holes and the custard's going to leak out. And especially since it's a springform pan, it will leak right out. So this is what we're working with here. Now over here, we're going to crack the eggs, and it's going to be added to the heavy cream. Grab this bowl here. So again, these are a great local Happy Chicken Farm egg producer, one of our great local producers that we use here. So I'm going to crack a dozen eggs. So it's 1 dozen eggs with 2 cups of heavy cream. And like I said, if you want, you can use a different cream. You can use, not as much fat. You can use whole milk, 2%. Non-fat will make it much lighter. And oftentimes a little bit runnier. It won't necessarily settle all the ways, but you're more than welcome to. So at that point, I would just cautious about making sure you bake it long enough.
Right. So one thing that Devin and I feel really, really strongly about is supporting local. And we've been saying it for years. Local is more important than organic in the fact that it's sustainable. So if you can find local organic, fantastic. But supporting local is so important. And right now, in the pandemic that we're all in, we're really seeing the importance of that. So
absolutely. And speaking to that, a lot of the local producers and purveyors, especially the smaller ones, can't afford the certification of organic, biodynamic, tilth, all those certifications. So a lot of them do it anyways, because honestly, if you do it right, it's cheaper than buying all the pesticides and all the garbage anyways. And so a lot of these places do it just as common practice, but don't afford their certification and don't go through the processes. That's another reason why I like to make sure that I'm developing good local relationships with these producers, so I know what their practices are personally, not necessarily just what they're advertising or what they are certified as. So, dozen eggs, heavy cream. This is our custard base here. Now over here, like I said before, we have this our salmon, which is our bell peppers and onions. I'm going to pull some thyme here a little bit. This is another one. I think it goes great with vegetables, in quiche, definitely with eggs. And thyme is something that grows and you can harvest year round. So we always have thyme on this property here. Do a nice quick chop on this. And so the technique or little trick here is to actually add a good amount of the product to the hot pan. What this does is this will actually bring up the temperature of our custard and will allow us to cook quicker. So now, even though it's in the oven for an hour, that still, sometimes would take an hour and a half to 2 hours if we didn't do this process right here, which is just taking, and is basically a tempering, just taking the heat off of, or the cool off of these products. So.
So those of you that are making Easter dinners for yourselves at home, this is something that you could start the day before by doing the pasta and the pasta. Sorry,
Pat Brisé
the Pat Brisé dough. It's not pasta. American pasta. But you can start a little bit ahead of the game so that you are not in the kitchen all day on Sunday. But if you live local and you want to support local, we will have this available up at Great Blue Heron for purchase on Sunday. Please call the Great Blue Heron by Friday at 4 to order yours.
So here we go, right into our quiche shell.
I know, I'm so super Canadian, eh? Someone's saying my Canadian is coming out.
And then we got 2 cups of Ferndale Farmstead cheese going right on top. Pick that up a little bit. And what I always do is I try to massage it in a little bit so that it kind of cooks down into it and it's not just a full layer on top. All right, so here we are, ready to bake. Now with this, if you go into a convection oven, I a lot of times tent it so that you don't brown too much on the top. But to do that, I first put it in the oven and you get some color on the top first, because if you were to put it on top right now, the foil would stick. So here we go. And abracadabra, here we go. So we are going to take the tent off. We see we got nice good color. It rose a little bit and then sank on us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a nice clean cutting board over here. Now I have got questions about glove use. So everywhere you cook and every time you heat something up, you're killing any kind of cross-contamination or anything else that can happen. So where the health department really requires us is at the end procedure. We make sure that no food that is being consumed directly by a guest has been touched with our hands. So we use tongs, service utensils, other things, and then at this point, this is when I put on gloves. This is a ready-made product that will be served and eaten. So. All right.
Oh, look at that.
The nice high sides.
Just in time for lunch. What wine would you pair with this?
Well, if you're doing breakfast and you're doing brunch, then a nice mimosa or Bellini would always be good with that. But salmon can definitely go with Chardonnays, very well, especially eggs and quiche. If you were doing a Sauvignon Blanc or something a little more acidic, then I'd go for the fruitier and less minerality in this wine. All right, there's our smoked salmon quiche. Now it's got nice layers, so you can see all the vegetables throughout, and then nice layer of cheese on top.
Looks delicious. Look at that. Great.
Thanks for joining me. Have a good day.
Thank you. And we will be posting the recipe on our website and on Facebook as well for you to try at home. And thank you so much for watching. And again, if you want to order some salmon quiche, we will have it up at the Great Blue Heron this Sunday. Pickup is between 3 and 6 p.m., but you have to order by Friday at 4. So call up the Great Blue Heron and order some dinner, support local, stay safe. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Have a great day.